and welcome back to Blighty Day Fiance, the UK's leading 90 Day Fiance UK recap podcast, hosted by a husband and a wife.
None of the others are. They might be hosted by estranged people, or indeed strange people or strangers, but none of them can match this.
Have I bothered to check? No, I have not.
Nah, never check.
The episode that we're covering this week is entitled, You've Got to Come Clean. I'll come clean right now. Numbers confuse me. Weights and measures, temperatures. I have lived in this beautiful country now for over a decade, and I have still not learned how to convert weights and measures or temperature.
By this point, we should have all just agreed on something, shouldn't we? But maybe we don't need numbers for things.
No, it would, however, be nice if the episode numbers corresponded with the ones in America, so that we didn't get confused on socials and the like.
Yeah, for us, this is episode 5. In the US, I guess it's episode 3. So we'll just agree it's episode 4, shall we? No.
I think we'll just go by the title. And speaking of the US, we are very excited to be able to announce that we are appearing on Reality Gaze, which is my favorite 90 Day Universe podcast in the world.
Absolutely. They do them all. They're doing this show, they do 90 Day Original, they do Happily Ever After, they do all of the different 90 Day things, and a load of other great shows. We thoroughly recommend them. If you like any reality TV, they're the best. They're just the best, and it's a huge honor for us. So very exciting.
Particularly in our freshman year, if you like.
Right. Not entirely sure when that will drop. It'll probably, there'll be some of it on our feed and some of it maybe on their feed. We will let you know. Keep an eye on the socials. We're at Blighty Day, and we'll absolutely let you know when it drops. Or, of course, you can do the sensible thing and like and subscribe and all that, right? And follow. And then it'll just appear by magic.
Yeah. So check out Reality Gaze wherever you listen to your podcasts. And while you're at it, if you could leave us a review and a rating, it really, really helps other people discover our podcast. We really appreciate it.
We do.
Also, we have, as I mentioned previously, an immigration lawyer, a UK immigration lawyer, I should say, coming on as a guest, free of charge, to answer your questions specifically about UK immigration. We can't go into detail, obviously.
No, and we're not going to give you free legal consultations either. So can we try and keep it about the show? Don't just say my boyfriend Samir wants to move over to this country. We're very much in love. How do we? No. We're talking about the show. But if you have any questions about the show or any kind of little wrinkles you want to explore, drop us a line, blightydayfiance@gmail.com, and we'll get those questions over to him when he's on later in the series.
Yeah, we just want to meet the rest of the cast and let some of the storylines settle a little bit before we bring in the expert to pick apart all the legal inaccuracies. Yeah, which I'm sure there are many.
Do we ever want to meet the rest of the cast? This is really, you probably noticed, hopefully some of you guys out there noticed, they did it again. They trailed once again the cast members who just refused to keep coming on every week.
Poor Calum.
What is Calum, isn't it? I feel so bad for him. In my head, every week he sort of gets these viewing parties with all his friends and family. They're all sitting around. They got the
he's got the gold Mylar balloons that say 90.
The freshly baked pork growlers, and they're all, this will be the week that you're on, Caleb. Oh, we can't wait to watch you on TV. 15 minutes go by, nothing happens. Ugh. Week after week after week.
Hashtag justice for Caleb.
Justice for Caleb.
Hopefully we'll meet him next week, if not the week after. I am very excited to meet some of the new cast members. But since we're here, why don't we talk about some of the existing ones? Unless there's anything else you can think of. You
wanted to talk about something, didn't you? We're not just here for the 90-day things in life. We have other kind of lives. They're all just watching TV, to be honest.
Yes, we are huge fans of television. We believe that we are living now in the golden age of television and that movies are a colossal waste of time. for the most part.
Wow.
If you need any further evidence of that, watch the latest adaptation of Persuasion on Netflix, which I hear is a pile of cow dung.
Oh, dear.
I didn't get past the trailer. I was listening to one of my favorite true crime podcasts, of which there are many, and I was thinking there's definitely an overlap in reality TV fans, true crime fans, and those who are perhaps not fans of, but are fascinated by cults and religious fundamentalism. So if you wanted something that explores both true crime and religious fundamentalism, I cannot recommend highly enough something that probably aired 18 months ago in America, and I just never heard about it.
It's like one of these really late recommendations.
Yes.
Sorry.
Breaking Bad. No, I'm kidding.
Great show.
The show that I am recommending is called Under the Banner of Heaven. Robin felt the title was pretentious, but then he found out where it came from, and now he's eating those words.
I still don't like the font though, because it's Under the Banner of Heaven, but the two N's in the word banner are like joined together, so it looks like Under the Banner of Heaven, and I don't know what a banner is.
He was the 44th president.
Amazing. Anyway, it's a really, really good show.
It is. It's a phenomenal show. Andrew Garfield is the lead. Daisy Edgar-Jones is also in it, and a whole load of other British actors of sort of closer to my generation. It's nice that that tradition is continuing, that there's now a new generation of British actors taking over American roles. But man, did he earn it. Not only does Andrew Garfield look gorgeous in suits that should not look good on anyone, he's a phenomenal actor. There's so much going on behind the eyes. It's a fascinating, compelling story. I don't want to give anything away, but I will say if you can't deal with historical flashbacks to events that may or may not have happened and are actually quite bloody.
And contentious.
Yeah, you might want to avoid it.
But it's really good. It's really Twin Peaksy.
Yes.
Very Twin Peaks.
So many echoes of Twin Peaks,
True
echoes
Detective.
of True Detective. Yeah. It's so good.
Very
and,
good.
You know, we all need to ground ourselves in drama sometimes, in the well thought out scripted kind of drama.
The kind of drama where a lady from Wolverhampton mysteriously meets a shadowy figure from Japan. Can you tell I'm trying to get on with the recap?
Yes. That's fine. There's not a whole lot to say about Victoria and Shaun this week. She did cook for him bangers and mash, and you and I had a discussion previously about whether it was a curly sausage or a Yorkshire pud that was served upon.
Really hard to tell. I mean, look, I've just spent enough money on an expensive 4K TV, frankly. It now turns out I might need to upgrade to like 8K or something so I can see if what I'm watching is a Yorkshire pudding, which is like a sort of fried batter bowl, or a sausage. Honestly, couldn't tell. But the curly sausage, do you have curly sausages in the States?
No, not really. We also don't have Yorkshire puddings. So I should explain. If you imagine a bread bowl, but it's made out of dough that you might like a savory dough instead of a funnel cake, which is sweet. It's that sort of consistency, but it's like buttery, salty rather than sweet like a funnel cake would be.
Yeah, it's like a savory donut almost.
Yeah.
Don't even know if they were eating that, frankly. And the reason we don't know is because it was just really brown. And that's not the first time that they've shown very, very brown food on this show and said that this is British food. And I take great umbrage. We don't only eat brown foods. There's at least one yellow food in this country. There's some red food in this country, maybe even some pink. We do all the colours, I promise. But so far, it's just a lot of brown.
Yeah, I mean, there's There's a reason why there's a town in Scotland where the male mortality rate is something like 54, and it is because they fry absolutely everything.
Well, they deep fry everything.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, but that's the thing, like in Glasgow, like you can get like deep fried Mars bars and stuff, and delicious they are too. But I would like to dispel the impression that everything in this entire country is fried. It's not really the case, honestly.
No, although, and we should also say we've said before that neither of us eats pork, and Robin unfortunately has a wheat allergy, so he's taken out of the sausage roll.
Can't eat the growlers.
Can't have the growlers. Yeah, it's difficult. So
to be honest, watching this show I'm spending most of the evening in the loo, which isn't unusual for me. But there's a lot of gluten in this show.
But people are reacting on the socials. I mean, somebody said British cuisine is some words to the effect of British cuisine is not the way to win people over. What the fuck is onion gravy? To answer your question, onion gravy is really like normal gravy, I think, with onions in it.
You just caramelize the onions until you get that lovely Maillard effect, and not the duck. And then a bit of stock, maybe some red wine, reduce it down. It's a gravy.
So keep your minds open about British food, but also maybe don't go to Angus Steakhouse if you come
never
here.
do that. Never do that. Better or worse than Denny's? We'll get to Denny's.
We will get to Denny's. So yeah, not much happening with Victoria and Shaun. I'm beginning to feel like she didn't have any conversations about him before he came over. And it's starting to feel, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a blind date. This is like 90-day blind date UK. It's really, really weird. Like usually these people have, like Shaun has been having this relationship for how many years? Richard has been, which one of them's longer actually? Are they both about 3 years?
Both of them are 2 years, I think.
Yeah, 2-3 years. Like these people generally really know each other.
Yeah.
This is weird as hell.
This is not that. And I'm very confused. And I have a few conspiracy theories, one of which is that this wasn't the only guy that she was talking to, and that maybe there was somebody else and that person didn't want to be filmed. And so she was talking to this one instead.
Oh, the old Cyrano de Bergerac.
It just popped into my head. No, not even anything that deep. Just that she was talking to a Japanese man who did not want to be on the show, for example, or their relationship didn't work out by the time they got to filming. And she thought, well, this guy's a bit of a wild card, but maybe I can squeeze it in. It's the only thing I can think of, because honestly, unless you're in kind of a Bible Ben relationship where your communication consists of like, I can't wait to see you. Your heart is so beautiful. We were meant to be. Isn't this nice? Isn't that nice? I just don't understand how these things weren't addressed.
Or maybe they just spent their entire time talking about Pokemon Go.
They might have.
Which is fine.
I mean,
I could talk about it for hours. I'm not going to.
I'm not going to lie, Robin. When I saw on your WhatsApp, and no, I wasn't creeping on your phone, but when I saw Victoria Pokemon Go
right
many years ago for the first time, I was a little concerned.
You thought that was like some girl that played, my dream girl, obviously, because, we could do raids together.
Exactly.
And trade and stuff. No, it's just the area of London where there is a group of people. It's where I worked.
Anyway, she claims to have asked questions, and she's put the burden on him for not having been direct and not having answered them. But it just makes absolutely no sense to me that people who had been in contact for 2 years would be so awkward together upon meeting, and B, just be talking about two completely different things all the time.
Here's an example of where they talked about two different things, because like he says, I would be happy to move to Wolverhampton finally after some interminable discussion. And she's like surprised by that. But I think he meant Birmingham because he thinks he's in Birmingham, which is also Wolverhampton. Do you know what? Like, neither of them really knows what the other one is saying. It's not lost in translation in any way. It's just, they're just in slightly different realities. There's no ability to communicate. And that's why, like, it's hopeless because it can't get any better. They literally are speaking two different languages.
It's very hard to watch. If you're not following his social media, it's a complete joy. He seems like quite the bon vivant.
He's got a touch of the James Blunts about him on social, hasn't he?
Yes, he's very good at deflecting criticism.
It's quite good fun. I do like him. I don't
dislike him, and I might be slightly unfair to her, but it's very difficult to watch someone who is, competent in all areas of her life, from what I can see, just completely fall on her face time and time again when it comes to communicating. And it's almost like she bobs and weaves around certain topics and certain ways of phrasing things so that she can get him to say what she wants to hear. And then she doubts it immediately and puts that back on him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes complete sense. We spoke about this before, but it's the laughter at the end of every sentence is a way of shutting down any interaction from the other person and sort of forcing them to say what you want them to say. And then when they say what you want them to say, you're aware that you've sort of coerced it out of them. And so you go, but you don't really mean that. And it's like, well, why am I even in this conversation?
I would find that so difficult to be around.
Can't stand it. Met people like that. Can't stand it.
I've worked with people like that as well. And it's like, okay, well, do you want this or that?
It's the conversational equivalent of someone who, like when you're watching like a sitcom on TV and there's a funny line and the person you're with repeats the funny line and does a laugh. You get the same thing at stand-up shows. Like there's an echo. People literally say back the punchlines to people. It's the same thing. It's the conversational equivalent of that. Awful. So that's kind of it for them, a holding pattern. I'm looking forward to next week's, maybe it'll be next week, they might hold it back, but the house hunting, that'll be a joy. Recommendation for our US listeners, there is a British sitcom called Stath Lets Flats, STATH Lets Flats. It's got her out of What We Do in the Shadows in it. What's her name?
Natasha
Demetriou.
Yeah,
she's amazing.
Very good. Well remembered.
I got one. And her brother. It's ridiculously funny. Estate agents, it's a guy called Stath who is an estate agent. That's what we call realtors in this country. They're called estate agents. And I just love the idea of Stath showing them around some flats. So in my dream, there's going to be a crossover for that, but I suspect it'll be nothing like that.
I did think it was cute, though, that she thought, I can't remember who this came from, but there was some misunderstanding about the term coach station, which we don't have in America, by the way.
You just call them bus stations, right?
Yeah.
But there is a difference in this country between buses within a town or city or a few, like local area, and then buses which go between cities.
And coaches.
Right? They're called coaches, right? So the ones that do the big, long journeys, coaches, and the ones that do the more local routes, buses. So a coach is very, very different. I think I know that coach station. Well, I know a coach station in Birmingham pretty better than I would like to. When I was a teenager, me and my mate would follow Morrissey around. I don't like Morrissey anymore for obvious reasons, but we follow him around the country on tour, and to fund it, we'd sell bits of his shirt that we sort of faked. Because he threw his shirt into the crowd every day, and we sort of go, I've got a bit of the shirt, and people would buy it off us for 20 quid. So we would go around the country fraudulently paying our way. And I remember one night we were in the coach station in Birmingham, Digbeth, I believe, and waiting for the bus, which wasn't going to be till the next morning to get out of town. And it was bitterly, bitterly cold. And the coach station was not somewhere you want to be at night.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Did either of you say to the other, and if a double-decker bus crashes into us, to die by your side would be a heavenly way to die?
It was a coach station. Again, we've been through the difference. It's not, and if a double-decker coach crashes into a moat. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Anyway, it's very, very cold, bitterly cold, middle of winter. Wanted to find somewhere to warm up. So we're going to the cafe just down the road. It's the only thing that's open. Go to the front counter, ask for some tea, ask for some sugar in the tea, and the woman puts sugar in the tea and then stirs it with her finger. Properly stirs our tea with her finger.
That's disgusting.
And I don't know if that's normal there. I don't know if, like, Shaun, as he stared out and looked at that particular coach station, knew, like, we were talking about British cuisine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if he knows that probably the very nadir, the low point of British cuisine was just over the road there. Awful, awful place. Never want to go back.
So moving on then to Kadie and Alejandro.
Kadie and Alejandro. Shall I do jingles?
Yeah, maybe after some practice and a couple of drinks.
Yeah.
So Alejandro's waiting for her at the airport.
Which airport is that?
Well, I don't know which airport it is, but
Which city is that?
they are headed towards Guadalajara,
Yeah, sure, Guadalajara.
which I believe is the Welsh name.
That would be Guadalajara.
Yeah, it's anyway. Come on, y'all.
I love it. There's nothing like a good malapropism.
And she's obviously incredibly intelligent and very smart. And Spanish is not a language that she knows yet. And those things are really difficult. Some people can't roll the R. They just can't.
What happens to the R?
So
rather than
when I used to teach Spanish as a Spanish tutor, when people couldn't roll the R, I would say, just put a D sound in instead, like perro, right? Is dog. Just say pedo instead.
it's a little cheat sheet.
Yeah.
It's good.
Anyway, it's going to be a 2-week trip. Alejandro is hoping to win her over to Mexico. He's already halfway there. She's seen the Denny's. She's seen the Walmart.
All right, I'm going to side. He was a little mean about this, but one of the brilliant things when you travel is seeing those things. It doesn't matter if they're good or if they're bad, and it is thrilling. I don't know if Americans will ever understand this. Like, we grow up seeing this stuff. You don't grow up seeing our stores, right? So, like, no American comes over to this country and goes, "Oh, Oliver Bonas," right? It just doesn't happen, okay? "Oh, it's a Next." We go over to America and we see these things which we've seen in the movies and TV, right? Because, dominant
like
culture.
7-Eleven.
Yeah, 7-Eleven. And we used to have 7-Elevens in this country, but they pretty much all shut down or burned down. So they were never nice. They were never nice.
I've got a lot of good stories about Denny's.
Okay.
I used to work at a Denny's. I'm just going to tell one story quickly. To put things in context, the Denny's that I worked at, this was one of 3 jobs that I had at the time back in the old US of A. In my early 20s when I had the energy for 3 jobs and the need. The Denny's that I waitressed at was between a mental hospital, what's nicely referred to as a retirement community for active seniors, and a prison.
The holy trifecta.
So the clientele were very interesting, not as interesting as my coworkers, one of whom was a 6'5" lady called Mary. who some of us referred to as the old battle axe, because she really was one. She had, if you think of your typical diner waitress from like a Quentin Tarantino movie, she had the like bright green eyeshadow, bright pink lipstick, faint mustache combo. Mary had 7 kids, 5 of whom were either in prison or out.
Was that the local prison? Was that the prison next door to the Denny's?
No, don't.
It's convenient. Visit the kids, go to work. It's like daycare.
It might have been. Anyway, suffice it to say, it was a very memorable time in my life. I think those stories will probably come out over time. But for the time being, go to IHOP instead, everyone.
For your diner that has a menu that's 70,000 pages long and serves any kind of food you can imagine.
Yeah.
Always the best kind of restaurants, those.
Factory food. Anyway, Kadie rolls up. She is the first gal to stay at Alejandro's parents' house, which is very interesting. I was surprised that they shared a bedroom. That's usually a no-no in a Catholic home.
You know what I loved? I loved the fact that they completely yada-yadaed over it and just skated rather than having... like there was season 5, Nicole and Azam, was that his name?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
It took about 6 weeks of deciding whether, like, of episodes, whether she was going to sleep in his room or not. And it was so damn dull. This show's brilliant. They just get straight through. It's like, we've had the conversation, we're going to do it. Brilliant.
And his family were so warm and so welcoming. They described her as cheerful and sincere and happy. I really do think that she is totally without guile. She really is just pure sunshine and authenticity and just sweetness.
And she lit up those parents, right? Because there were a few people that were thinking, oh, they're a bit severe and grave and it's not going to... But the smiles on their faces when they met her.
Yeah.
Because she's different.
Again, I really think it's down to... It's not that they're necessarily severe or cold people. It's that they do not know what show they're on and they don't really know how they're supposed to act on camera. Like... For them, they're probably like, okay, I've seen a documentary before. I've seen Grizzly Man or I don't know why. I'm just imagining like Werner Herzog coming in to guest produce 90 Day Fiance.
Are you suggesting that Alejandro makes friends with Kadie and it all seems to be going very well, but then at the end of their relationship, she savages him to death? Did I just spoil Grizzly Man? I spoiled Grizzly Man.
Yeah. Well, but maybe metaphorically speaking, isn't
all love that way?
All that love that way, exactly. Yeah. And are they sitting at the kitchen table at breakfast with the indifferent stare of hunger in their eyes?
Yeah. I'd be hungry if I thought potatoes were grapefruit, or the other way around.
That looked so much like a potato.
It did.
Grapefruit would have been. Not even my 10th guess as to what that was.
I continue to be on Kadie's side in most things, and that was a potato. I think they switched it. I think that I think her dad is a sleight of hand magician. Started off with a potato on his plate, switched it out for a grapefruit just to make fun of the foreigner. There you go. There's your conspiracy theory for the week.
It looked so much like a potato. Anyway, it'll be called #PotatoGate. There was a bit of a mishap with the translation there, apart from her talking about potatoes when there were no potatoes on the table. The words, again, she doesn't know Spanish at this point, hasn't really learned enough to have a conversation. And I think she was asking if it was a healthy dish. I think I understand what she was trying to say, but the way that it came out, the word that she used, and I could be wrong. This might be a dialectical difference. But my understanding is that that word means healthy as in like, is this safe to eat?
Like health and safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it might have been read as kind of a criticism of the meal.
Yeah.
But they all laughed about it, and the potato thing brought everyone together. So
But that's a beautiful example of the way that she constantly puts her foot in things. And I kind of like people that put their feet in things. It's because they don't think everything through. They just act. There's no malice. She did it when she said that the house looks like a prison as well. She didn't mean anything bad by it. I mean, it did. It had bars all over the windows, you know. And then, you know, she said things about being like a foreigner when she's in the market. And I know that there'll be things where people think that she's kind of insensitive. There is a huge difference between being insensitive and being authentic. And she's just really authentic.
Also, both Americans and Britons have a terrible habit of using words like foreigner when they're in a different country.
When you're the foreigner.
When you're the foreigner.
Yeah.
That's something I've come across many a times during travels in Europe. So yeah, she's overwhelmed by the feast for the senses before her, right? The market is exciting.
I think she likes it though.
She's got that big old camera around her neck.
She does.
It's sweet.
I love the way he said touristy shit. I mean, he's got good English. Like, if you can swear with that level of grace, it seems a no-brainer to me that they should definitely move to the UK because he can swear better in English than she can swear in Spanish.
Well, I think selfishly, it would be a loss, not just to Kadie's family, but to the country as a whole if she went to Mexico.
Yeah, we ain't letting her go.
Now that I know about her, I can't really imagine.
Back off, Alejandro. She's ours.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, it seems as though things are progressing nicely for them, and they are so clearly so much in love.
Yeah,
it's just such a joy to watch. Again, this is really... I think quite a few of the jaded audience, the longtime fans of 90 Day Original Recipe like myself, will be pleasantly surprised and refreshed by the innocence of 90 Day Fiance UK. It has so many of the elements that we really miss from 90 Day Original Recipe, the innocence of it all, and the sort of casting people who aren't camera ready and, you know, perfectly poised to sell something.
I am dreading season 6 though, where Kadie goes to Turkey to get cheap veneers. But for now it's a job.
God forbid. Shall we go on to Shaun and Christine?
Oh boy.
Here's the thing about Shaun and Christine, folks. This story is incredibly depressing, and it feels like it's getting darker and darker. Now, what I will say, and this is going to be another hot take that no one is going to like, I want you to think very carefully before you criticize the cast of this show about how they treat their partners and who treats their partners well and who treats their partners respectfully and who maybe hides major big deals from their partners. And then maybe reevaluate, you know, the things that you say about them. And
I think I know what you're saying.
Do you get me?
I think, and this is, look, Shaun doesn't mean to be an arsehole, but Shaun's kind of an arsehole here. His own massive desire to have this thing at any cost could potentially rip a family apart. It's not okay to lie in the way that he has. It's really ugly, actually. And I get it. It comes from such a good place and he's desperate and everything. But it is so hard to watch someone create their own undoing in this way.
Yes. And there's a lot of things that are deeply unhealthy. it's not expensive to clean your home. Yeah. It's not expensive to wash your dishes. It's not expensive it's not even expensive to childproof a home or to put some thought into a room that a toddler is going to be sleeping in.
And how long has he had? Like years by this point. And just to say, I didn't have the money. It's not expensive to move a cardboard box with an umbrella sticking out of the side of it somewhere else, out of a child's bed. It doesn't cost anything.
No. And I will say this about our neighborhood. I think, was it on Next Door where somebody started a collection for a single mom?
Yeah. So in this, well, first, ask around your local neighborhood. People have always got things that they will donate. Always. People have got like beds and chests of drawers and like ovens and fridges and stuff. You'd be amazed what people do. There's a great website in this country, in the UK, called Free Cycle.
They're not sponsoring us.
No. I don't think any money's involved with Free Cycle. I mean, God forbid they ever gave us any. The idea is you say, I have this, who wants it, right? And it's an eco thing, really. The idea is, why would you throw something out when someone can make great use of it? But Shaun could be getting all of this stuff. I mean, he can't be getting top of the line, really lovely stuff, right? This isn't like some aspirational, you don't find Gucci handbags on Free Cycle, but you find what you need. And, there are good charities, I think, that could help. I think he's very deserving of it. I just don't think he's tried.
No, I think there's a lot of shame involved, a ton of shame, a prohibitive amount of shame, but fundamentally, this is going to be a really tough one to call, to be honest. Christine has 3 other children who are older than Christian. She's saying goodbye to them. She's telling her parents that Shaun is going to be looking after them financially. This is all...
Meanwhile, Shaun's telling Jimmy that he isn't. And for an absolute fact, he has said that he will. He has.
Yeah, this isn't a miscommunication. And I also would like to say, and this might also be a very unpopular opinion, but whether you like it or not, this is a relationship in which finance plays a very important and critical role. He has been supporting Christine and her family, and to lie about the nature of his finances is a form of financial abuse. I'm just going to say it. In the same way that it would be if she were lying to him about how it was spent or what she was using it for. This is a transactional relationship. I'm sorry, it just is.
It's incredibly sad because he's just clearly unwell, and I don't like shows. Everything was great about 90 Day Fiance UK up to the point where I'm like, this guy isn't well. And I'm even thinking back a few minutes, and I called him, I called him an arsehole, I think, a minute ago. And looking back on it, that's not really fair because he's not well, but he is acting in a way that is cruel. I think it's unwitting, but I also think there is a part of him that knows. And to sort of step back his employment, because he's clearly under extraordinary stress, and I don't think he's very well. And you know what? Absolutely no problem with people taking care of themselves. More power to you, but not when you have other people depending on you who should be given the choice of changing their minds. Right,
exactly. Not when you have that level of responsibility.
Tell her, I like Jimmy the friend says, you've got to tell her that you're no longer the cleaning manager, you're a cleaner, and you're making a lot less money, and you're working less, and you haven't done the house up, and all of these things. Tell her those things, and if she says, look, I still love you, we'll make it work somehow, great. But to not tell her, it makes me shiver.
I also found pigtails on the little boy confusing.
I know.
I'm not saying that we need to strictly adhere to gender norms. I'm not going to put that on a child, but that might not.
It was a bold look. I'm just
it was
saying.
a very bold look.
I'm just saying. I don't think it's going to go down well. Where do they live again? It's Botley in Hampshire, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But who knows? Soon everyone might be looking like, we don't know the name of that kid, do we? We probably do. Anyway.
Yeah. Now to dig ourselves out of that bottomless pit of despair that almost certainly won't turn out well. The last time I saw Richard is one of my favorite Joni Mitchell songs.
Oh boy.
The last time we saw Richard was last week.
2 weeks Richard in a row. And this time we got a mini Richard.
Little Alfie, who I have to say is not entirely dissimilar to my own sweet stepson.
This is true.
Robin's child, who is 10. He does have a less coarse vocabulary than young Alfie, but again, 2 years behind.
I don't know.
I think they have, this is really nice to see, and hopefully this is going to endear Richard to the audience a little more than previous segments, because it seems like they have a great relationship. This looks like more than a weekend dad sort of a gig.
You know, like every once in a while on 90 Day, they have like a friend or family member who is just gold and just calls the person for exactly what they are, right? Alfie absolutely calls his dad, like better than any adult could. So if you're wondering what to make of Richard, listen to Alfie. His dad's a bit of a dick, but he loves him.
Yeah, and he's also got, it seems that he's got a good relationship with his son's mother as well. Although I also would not be thrilled if your son's mother came to us right before half term, which for Americans, half term usually means like 2 weeks off of school.
It's usually a week.
It feels like 2 weeks.
Oh God, it feels like a year.
It feels very long. But yeah, not a great time to go for a visit. It's usually more expensive to travel.
Yeah.
Too. So anyway, but the reasons are legit. He's going out to see poor Kathleen, who has failed her English test.
That blew me away.
Yeah.
Because Kathleen seems to have really good English, and I don't understand.
Yeah.
I do not understand how she failed that test. What level of English test is this? Like, do you have to sort of be able to write an essay in sort of Chaucerian verse or something? It blew my mind. Her English seems great.
Yeah, I mean, I understand if like spelling is involved.
Maybe.
You might
maybe.
fail that, but I don't know much about it. Our lawyer friend actually did get in touch and said that he had some thoughts on the English test that he'll share with us, presumably when he comes on.
Okay.
But condolences.
Well, hopefully she can retake it anyway.
Yeah,
because I reckon she's got it in her.
but this does seem to open up the possibility of the fiance visa rather than the work visa. So they were kind of hoping to get her in the country through the National Health Service, and now it's looking like that obviously raises the stakes of the relationship, right? Which may not be the greatest thing.
But instead of jacking it all in, off he goes.
Yeah.
To be supportive, to be by her side, to be there for her when she needs him, to figure out the next moves. This is not a man who just wants his socks picked up.
No. Although
Unless he really wants his socks picked up.
Although he does have a suitcase full of dirty underwear, which is a fun variation on candy panties.
It is.
I have to say.
And I think it's the first time that we've seen lube packed.
Yes, which I think, that's...
Maybe Little Richard's not that little.
I'm not going to comment on that. But talking of which, Richard was hosting a nudist, or as we say... in this country, naturalist.
Yeah, you've got to be really careful. A naturalist, I think I got this right. This is like astrology and astronomy, isn't it? I think I got this right. A naturalist is like David Attenborough. Right.
Oh, okay.
It's someone who's into like nature and the environment and stuff. What you don't want to do is call a naturalist a naturist, because essentially, you're calling David Attenborough a nudist, which he may or may not be. What he does in the privacy of his own jungle is his business.
I bet when he's in the booth at Scramble Studios or whatever it is, wherever he records the voiceovers, I bet he insists on being completely nude.
I once had a conversation with David Attenborough about, if he had to, I think, which animal he would most like to breed with. It was a very strange conversation.
Why would you ask someone that?
I just like asking people weird things. He answered.
That is messed up.
Can't remember what the answer was. It might have been a polar bear.
I hope that's not... please don't call us David Attenborough's publicist, because I was joking and Robin was on some 90s drug combination when he asked that question, I'm sure. So
he loved it. He gets bored being asked the same questions all the time.
That's fair enough. I just don't know if I would go straight to bestiality. There are some hairy men at this. I think there was one. Were there any women there?
There were two women. There was one woman who I think Richard probably would have had his eyes on. And then there was one woman who he probably didn't. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think...
but
now, for those of you
it wasn't a sausage fest so much as, what would a very old shriveled sausage be called? It was a sausage skin fest. Just the skins of the sausages sagged all over the tables.
Again, I'm not much of a sausage person. A kosher beef hot dog, I'm in full support of. Now, to be clear, this isn't, if you've all been keeping up with 90 Day Love in Paradise, the Caribbean edition or whatever it's called, this isn't like Sherlon's swingers nudist resort kind of crowd.
No.
This is more akin to, if you can hearken back to Louis Theroux's celebrated Weird Weekends, this is slightly more akin to that.
Yeah, like nudism or naturism. I've forgotten it. Yeah. It's the British equivalent of libertarianism. It's we demand that. It's not that we particularly want to be naked, or
it's not.
We want the right.
You want the right to bear BARE.
Yeah,
arms.
Yeah, exactly. The right to bear everything.
Anyway, not surprisingly, I mean, if you did this, for example, it wouldn't bother me. I might think it was funny.
Yeah, you wouldn't mind. I don't think I'd even mind if you did it. It's because honestly, it's a desexualized environment.
Yeah,
it's like nudist beaches. If you ever go to a nudist beach and if you find anything sexy about fat German men with sand up their bum cracks, then you really do have very strange ideas. And even if someone is like ostensibly beautiful, the moment you put them onto a nudist beach, they are immediately desexed. There's nothing sexy about nudist beaches.
No, and also you normalize it, especially, I mean, it sounds really elitist in my accent because it's like, oh, I've been to Europe. Not many people in America, a lot of people in America associate Europe with sort of like, very elite travels. But, go to even the non-nudist beaches are mostly topless, and it's just a normal thing. And men do wear very small swimsuits, if you can even call them that. So
most beaches in Europe, you will walk along the beach and then you will get to the nude bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, what I'm saying is it's a much more relaxed attitude toward nudity toward bodies.
Right. And this is just British people. And it goes right back. Like, there used to be sort of films made of like people staying at resorts in caravans in the 50s. And it's, to be honest, it is what passed for pornography back before there was proper pornography. So, but the people doing it were very innocent and were just like, we want to be as God created us and free and whatever.
Is that what you had? Would you have to like
I'm
go
not
into
that
the woods?
old. Yeah, go into this and find
Find a
like
caravan.
Super 8 footage of people caravanning in the 50s.
You saw like you had to like you would like steal the film strip or the film projector from school, and you would have to like, you know, those little pens where you turn it upside down and then the ladies' clothes take off. But in this case, it's like a film strip where you have to keep pressing it where it goes beep, and then in the next one, the lady's taking her top off. Beep, and then the next one, she's taking her knickers off.
That is exactly what gave me all my thrills back in the 1950s when I was a young man.
I should say, I say knickers with such confidence now. I made one of the egregious errors in front of polite company when I was a hot young thing in my early 20s. A young gentleman brought me home to his very conservative, wealthy parents, and they complimented me on the dress that I was wearing, to which I replied, "Oh, thank you. I hardly ever wear pants in the summer." I thought that I was telling them that I did not wear trousers or jeans in the summer. In fact, I was telling them that I did not wear underwear.
Yep, pants means underwear. I've been enjoying Westworld a lot. I might have even spoken about this on a previous episode, but Aaron Paul, him out of Breaking Bad, Jesse, is in it. And in the latest episode, there's one tonight in there, but it's sort of an action thing. And the whole episode, he's running around doing things. And instead of the caption saying, breathes heavily, it just constantly flashes up pants all the time, like throughout this entire episode, like pants, pants, pants. And pants has another meaning in this country as well, because we say pants when we mean shit.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's completely pants means that's a load of, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, whoever wrote the closed captions for that episode of Westworld has come for Aaron Paul. They're properly saying shit, shit, shit all the way through it. So pants, the word pants has so many meanings.
Yeah. And yes. Although it did occur to me that if you are hard of hearing and you're watching that, he might be singing. You don't know necessarily, like he could be screaming. He opens his mouth, right? I mean, I'm saying someone who's panting, like, they could be screaming.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying there are other words. You could say panting.
Sure.
But I think they deliberately enjoyed.
Now TV, Sky Atlantic, if you're listening, get on those subtitles, closed captions.
They did it earlier in the season as well. There's a moment where he says to the nemesis, "I have something you'll never have," and it's never answered what that thing is. But then the caption afterwards says, "Pants."
Oh, that show is awful. I think that's one of the endearing things about our relationship is that and you should know this, listeners, I am terrified of robots. And I deeply, deeply despise astronauts. And at the moment, Robin's got me watching one show about robots and another about astronauts.
And that's love.
That's love. That's compromise. And everyone should compromise. Richard does have a quick word with his friend Simon. He confides in him that he wants to make sure that Kathleen's family trust him because the first meeting with her dad gave him the impression that Richard was a sex tourist.
Which I think was covered in the last episode.
Yeah, everyone knows by now where we stand on that. Simon confirms again that Richard is genuine and authentic, and I think he is too, and I don't care if you don't like him. That is your decision to make.
I will say there is not a huge amount of difference between Kadie and Richard. Other than that, when Richard puts his foot in it, it sounds so much worse and just somehow doesn't have that charm. But I think the hearts are actually quite similar.
I agree. And I also believe with all my heart that he's being tarred with a very ugly brush because of some sort of, forgive the term, dog whistle kind of buzzwords that are thrown about that make him out to be way worse than he is. I'm not saying that I agree with phrases that he's used. The one that I take particular umbrage with that I mentioned before
came up again, didn't it?
Came up again. Don't marry the naughty girl. Don't marry the dirty girl. Why, Richard? What's wrong with a naughty girl?
There's nothing wrong with a naughty guy. I couldn't possibly comment about what I did. I would have thought you definitely want to marry the naughty girl. I can't imagine anything more boring in life than marrying someone who only picked up your socks and did your cleaning.
And we all know that Kathleen is more than that, and that's what,
Yeah, I don't
that's
think
what he's attracted to, and it's not the picking up the socks.
She's
thing.
not the good
on.
girl either. She's she's got a load of spirit. They both have. Yeah, Richard's an idiot. He keeps using words that he shouldn't. He keeps saying things that he shouldn't. But here's the thing. I think we can all live and learn and we can reflect on things. I reckon he will see this season and probably come to the conclusion that time's up on some of the language he uses and some of the beliefs he says he has because he thinks he'll get a laugh. I don't think he's going to be like that from now on.
I don't think so either. And I think that and this is not me saying PC gone mad or any of those things. I really deeply appreciate and understand that for an American audience in particular, any words that are, that are made to sound dismissive of women or insulting towards women or misogynistic in any way you're going to feel them a lot deeper. And I completely understand
the stakes are really high in the moment.
Yeah, they are. And again, this is a Richard Stan podcast. We just are, there are plenty of other people who don't like him and will agree with you. And I'm hoping that in listening to us, you can just consider just a different angle, just a different point of view. And I think as time goes on, he will surprise you.
Or he'll surprise us.
Because
the moment he actually does do some of the things people think he's going to do, I will not defend him actually mistreating her.
No, of
to
course
her face.
not.
In no way. It won't be funny. All I'm saying, it'll be horrible and I'll call it. All I'm saying is I would rather see someone making mistakes and learning from them than I would rather take pleasure calling out people's mistakes.
It's way more interesting that way as well.
Some growth, some development, some narrative, some dynamism. It's great.
Part of the joy of this show and the whole concept of the show is watching a fish out of water, is watching somebody, learn about a new world and discover new things about themselves and to change and grow and go through the whole hero's journey. That is what storytelling is built upon. So you should all be excited that there is a character who's interested in redemption.
What was the name of the North African guy? Love you so much. I work so much work.
Zied.
Yeah. Do you remember how Zied at the beginning was a pig?
No.
He was a bit. Again, it was that traditional, and he said things that didn't kind of go well. And do you remember how he was like Rebecca, right? This is 90 Day OG. But you remember the scene in the bar where she's showing a bit of flesh, and there was all of that stuff, right? And at the beginning, people thought that Ziad was an arsehole, right? But you got to know him, and he got to know her.
And he changed.
He totally changed.
He changed his expectations.
And that's why he's one of the best loved people in the 90 Day universe, right?
Yeah,
so
of course.
That's what I love. I love people that have got potential. And I think Richard has potential. We shall see.
Unpolished gem. Like Adam Sandler, right?
Yeah, like the nude quiz. Plenty of unpolished gems there.
Yeah. But this gem, this tumblestone of a podcast episode, I think is ready to be sold in the new age shop to an unsuspecting 25-year-old Scorpio. Is that good? Have I cooked it? Once again, thank you all so much for listening, for sharing this podcast with your friends, family, and colleagues. Thank you for sending us your feedback, for following us on the gram and on Twitter at Blighty Day. Email us at blightydayfiance.com. We cannot wait to hear from you.
And we cannot wait to get together with Reality Gaze in the week. So before the next episode recap, I think you'll probably get a little bonus from us there where we will talk all things international. Look out for that. Check out when that drops in your feeds, in your social. So yeah, we don't need a long goodbye because we'll be back very soon.
No. And as our special little boy would say,
see you soon.